Hey, everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. We are here for episode 105 with Mitch Rotolo, and we are in a new year, 2022. If you're watching this, we are streaming the show now. We are live across multiple channels. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Twitch. And you can find us on Facebook like in the olden days. We are out here at Louisiana Technology Park in the Falaya Focus Studio. I am excited for what the new year brings. We've got a new website been redeveloped. A whole bunch of new stuff happened while I was off with my wife having our first child. So took 2 months off. Glad that happened. I'm glad to be back in this seat. Glad to be back in a studio recording. I'm excited. We are already booked up well into March at this point. We're about to be fully booked for March. So that is even more exciting that people are still aware the show is around after 4 years and are still eager to come on the show. So with that, we're going to get this show kicked off with Mitch Rotolo. And as you can see, we're still rocking the lovely sponsor brought to you by Government Taco. Go check them out if you're ever on the side of Government and Jefferson. And without further ado, Mitch, welcome to the studio. Welcome to 2022 of the Patty G Show.
It's pretty awesome. Nice place. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I'm excited to see how this studio holds up. It looks killer. It sounds killer.
You were telling me this is the first show here?
You are the first show not only
awesome.
here but for the year. So you're
right.
kicking us off.
All right. Well,
no pressure at all.
No, not my best style.
Perfect. So, and this is your first vodcast episode, right?
Is that what it's called?
Video podcast.
Got it. All right. Yes, that's true. This has been my first.
So podcast is just, the people that just record audio and all that. That was too lame for us. We wanted to go all out with video and audio. So yes, the technical term is vodcast. So I also forgot to start my timer. So Mitch, who are you, man? What do you do? Who are you and what do you do? Why are you here?
I'm a pretty simple guy. I just sell pizza for a living and have fun doing it. Enjoy what I do. Had a great time doing it and found a way to make a living at it. And so I just keep doing more of it.
I love it. And so do you own Rotolo's Pizzeria?
I do.
And Rotolo's Craft and Crust?
That's correct.
So how many locations do y'all have now?
We've got 29 locations. It's been a great time, great company. We started right here in Baton Rouge, started in 1996. We're in 4 states, growing as fast as we can, as fast as we want to, without putting too much pressure on our people and what we currently are doing. So we're opening a store in Spring, Texas, north of Houston, in April of this year. And we'll open in East Memphis, our first Tennessee market, in May of this year. So that'll keep us pretty busy for the first 6 months of the year, and then we'll reevaluate what's next.
That's exciting. So Tennessee is the newest state y'all are going into?
It is. We've got 4 stores in Texas now.
Okay.
And so not in Houston, but so it's a big market for us, so we really got to do it right. We're taking our time and doing the right thing. We're building a ground-up location. So that's exciting for us because it's what I would rather do than what some of our smaller locations are. And then in East Memphis, we're in about a 5,000 square foot space, which again is the Craft and Crust model is a little bit bigger than what we would call our legacy brand that people know here in Baton Rouge. But Craft and Crust is what we're building in all our new markets. Very
nice. So how did you get to these 20 something locations over the years in 96? Like how did you what's the origin story for you?
We got there because I'm just getting old, I think. It's what you do, right? So
just over time.
Like I said earlier, I really enjoy what I do. It's kind of funny to say that. It's never a task. It's stressful at times. It's hard at times. It's difficult. But we started in 96, right outside the gates of LSU. At the time, I had a pizza shop that sold beer and pizza.
What more do you need?
We had draft beer and craft beer in the 90s, which was kind of cool. There really wasn't credit card transactions. It was all cash. People didn't have cell phones and cameras, and so you really had to work at your clientele and your customer base, and I had fun doing it. It was a blast. I really enjoyed it, and then I realized, okay, I either got to go get a real job or turn this into a real business, and so I said, let's open another store, and so we opened a second location in Baton Rouge in 2000, and it wasn't a hit at first. It took some time to figure it out because it was in the suburbs, a little bit different customer than in the Tigerland crowd after.
Yeah, Tigerland crowd's real easy to get into.
It's an easier crowd to attract. I will tell you that. That is true.
Late hours, greasy pizza.
Hey, pizza, beer, and college students. If you can't make it, then you shouldn't be doing anything.
So you were right at the gates of LSU.
We were in Tigerland.
Okay, at the gates of Tigerland.
Yeah, so really not really at the gates, but more on where their college life was in the 90s. And a lot of things happened in the 90s. LSU football was on a comeback. We had just hired Donardo. LSU baseball was in they won 4 or 5 championships in a 10-year window. So LSU sports were on the map. So it was a cool time to be doing what I was doing, and I had fun doing it. So it was kind of an easy in the sense of it wasn't the hours weren't the problem. I was never worried about the hours or what I had to do to make it happen. It just was I had fun doing it.
Yeah, it was that thing that entrepreneurs always love is the fact that you can do something you love and it doesn't feel like you're working, right? You just have a passion for what you're doing.
Sometimes it feels like you're working, but you do have a passion for it. I didn't mind working the nights, the weekends, and everything I was involved in. It really didn't bother me to be, when I'm 24 years old, 25 years old, working nights and weekends. Everybody else is going out and having fun, and I'm the guy hosting the party for them, so to speak, right?
Right.
So to me, that was just as entertaining as being at the party, and they all paid me to do it. So
it's
they're losing money, I'm making money. It's like we're all at the same place at the same time.
You're all having fun.
It was a win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when did you? Because I've heard in the restaurant industry, the hardest transition is going from 1 to 2. So when did you know, hey, let's try to open a second store? Was there something that you're like, we're outgrowing this place, or you just got to the point where people were saying, I wish you were here?
All the above, a little bit of everything. I guess it was more me. I really wanted to try it outside of the college market and see if it was something that I really wanted to make a career out of. So in 2000, I opened a store on Coursey Boulevard. And again, it wasn't instant. It wasn't like you can't just go do it and it happens. It does take a lot of effort and a lot of time and money. And so a lot of times my employees made more money than I do, and people don't realize that. It's like everything I make, I got to put back in the business. You got to buy equipment. You have to keep expanding. So it took a long time to get to the phase where you get a little bit more breathing room. But I didn't mind it because I just really enjoyed it. I really liked what I did. So 1 to 2 was tough because it's hard to.
Because at that point, you're like,
how do you reproduce yourself, right?
And you're splitting your time.
You can't clone yourself, right? So I don't know how and when and where I learned whatever it is that I know, but I do try to clone myself through the people that we work with. I try to get them to see the vision, see the light, see it what would Mitch do kind of thing, and enjoy the jobs themselves. And if they can have a passion for it and understand that at the end of the day what the expectation is, then everything works, right? I don't fire anybody. If you don't want to work here, I'm okay with that. If you don't want to follow the rules, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Nobody needs to be fired. It's not a confrontational position. We sell pizza for a living. Keep it as you don't like it. If you don't want to be with our group, then I'm okay with that. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it's just.
But 1 to 2 is difficult. It's and then going past that is probably a little bit more difficult because then it requires infrastructure.
Right.
You can work out of your car from 1 to 2, 1 to 2. You can go back and forth, right? But you get to 3 and 4, and all of a sudden you got to have an office. You need an accounting team. That's a whole different animal. That's not running a restaurant. I'm an operator. I can run a kitchen. I can run a team. I can run a store. But my job kind of converted to running a company, which is a bigger transition to a guy like me than to someone who's trained to run a company who then has to go run a restaurant. I did the reverse role. I was running a restaurant, had to learn how to run a company.
Yeah, because you're at first you're like, let's get the menu right, let's get the seating right,
Yeah,
let's get
that's
everything
the easy
straight.
Part, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Some people think it's hard. That's the easy part. The other side, it's hard to run the other side.
Yeah, they're running the other side of, okay, now I've got to make sure that we've got payroll set up for multiple people, and I can't be there all the time. Like
payroll
feel like
used to be easy. I just make a phone call. Hey, so, it was in the 90s you could do a lot of different stuff. Now it is truly we have a very good corporate structure. And I'm very happy where we are, but how we got there, it was a learning curve, like something I'd never been involved in before.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
I never had a job in that field. I didn't know what I was getting myself into until I was in it.
So that was your first job out the gate, was just opening Rotolo's, or there was something beforehand?
No,
I heard through the grapevine there was some bike trading that occurred as a kid.
Look, when you're young, you gotta figure out how to make deals, right? Trading roller skates, trading bicycles, trading dirt bikes, and trading parts for a go-kart. I mean, cutting grass and making scraps, and
I cut grass.
that's what we did for a living. We were. I mean, that's kind of my favorite thing to say. You got to learn how to trade bicycles. If you could do that, and as you get older, you can learn to evolve how to make a deal. What does a deal look like? How do you craft what's good for me, good for you, kind of back and forth, and that's how you make a deal.
Yeah, I was 11 years old when my brothers and I started our lawn company.
Yeah.
My oldest brother had just turned 16. My parents let us use the lawn cutting equipment we had, and we would go all summer long and just cut grass nonstop. And as an 11-year-old, it was both tiring, but also it was exciting because you got that fire built in you, right?
I cut grass from probably that age till probably 22, 23 when I really got serious in the restaurant business. And in my 20s, as a young man, you can make good money as you build it up. I had a great client list. I had a great lawn company, and that kind of stemmed from just being a kid.
Yeah,
I really knew what I wanted to do next, right? And so I grew into being in the restaurant business.
That's what I tell people. They say, "What's the easiest, or not what's the easiest? What's a good first business to get started if you're want to start off in entrepreneurship?" I said, "Well, are you okay with working outside in the heat?" Yeah, that's fine. Lawn care, like it's so long as you are nice to your customers, you charge reasonable rates, and you can get hands on the equipment. It is a good business because, like you said, it grows over time. And if you treat your customers well, just like within the restaurant business, they'll come back.
Just about everything you need to know. You can learn by running a lawn business.
100%. I would go door to door in subdivisions. I'd walk down the street. Hey, we just cut Miss Susan's yard. You want us to cut your yard as well? We come here once a week. We'll add it to the block. Here's what we charge because all your yards are the same. And then I had a friend of mine who cut grass all the way until he got married and started working at his full-time job. Was all the way through college. He put himself through college by just cutting grass.
Sure.
And he only did it 4 or 5 months out of the year.
And people today are still doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how, especially as a young, guy, when you turn 16.
Same thing in the bar and restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
Servers and wait staff, they're mini entrepreneurs. They really are treating their section, their tables, their customers as their customers because they are tipped employees. So they get paid off of their level of service, their attention to detail, how they do things. And I try and tell them that this is your business when you're here.
Right.
You're paying your way through college. And a lot of them make more money in the restaurants than they do when they graduate college.
Yeah. I mean, because you're working for those tips, and especially if you've got some people that they fall in love with you as a server, and they come back just to see you. They come back to socialize with you. Then as a server, you're like, that just, it's got to make you feel good. And, then you start figuring out, okay, maybe if I say, they want a dessert tonight, maybe if I give them like a half off dessert, and you start getting, you start working the system. Hey, what can I do to keep these people coming back time and time again? Yeah, I totally agree. It teaches you sales.
It teaches a lot I think everybody should be in some sort of service industry as a young person.
100%.
It gives kids a sense of work ethic. It gives them a sense of pride in earning something and just going forward. And it's kind of funny because I got a kid at home. I need to make him go get a job. And it's like, you can't do that much. It's like I want to push him out the door, but at the same time, it's like, I appreciate what he's doing. I got a junior in high school who plays football. He loves what he does. And it's hard to break the cycle, but it's like, you got to go do stuff, right?
You got to get out there. You got to be active. I mean, I hadn't turned 16 yet, and I started my first busboy job at Roberto's River Road Restaurant.
That's awesome.
And I worked there for, I think, 4 years, just bussing tables Fridays and Saturdays. Every Friday and every Saturday, I was bussing tables. My friends were hanging out,
and look at
doing things. Oh yeah, I loved it because all that tip money, I would not spend a single dollar in tips. I would just put it in I had a shoebox that I would just put all my tip money in. I never touched it, and I would just live off of my pay. I mean, I still live with my parents. I'm paying for gas, movies every now and again, and I'm cutting grass on the weekdays, and I'm bussing tables in the evenings. So it was not like I needed the tip money. And then sure enough, whenever I turned 17 years old, I bought my first vehicle, cash money. And it was like one of the most proudest days of my life at that point in time because, like, Dad, I'm buying a vehicle. Can you take me to go, get a Jeep? And we had looked at probably 20 of them, but that final one I found and fell in love with, it was nice to know the work I had done up until that point was paying for this.
That's what I call trading bicycles. That's the mentality of it. So
I didn't have to ask anybody, hey, can I borrow some money to go and buy my vehicle? It was, I'd worked up enough and saved enough. And it teaches you at that age to save and not, spend everything you get because you're not going to get it for another 2 weeks if you're living off just your paycheck. And
And if
so
it took you 6 months to get there, you know you're not going to get it for another 6 months, right?
exactly for a big purchase,
Yeah.
yes. And then you just get more creative. I mean, as time went on, I just started dabbling in more and more things, and it sounds like you kind of did the same thing until one day, like, was it just like an epiphany moment? You said, I want to open a pizza shop, or
No,
like
it's
how did you get to
it's a
wanting
funny,
to open a
it's
pizza
a funny
shop?
story, but I had a friend that had, and so the story is that we opened in '96. That was the first Rotolo's, and that's actually technically true, but not all the way there.
Right.
I had a friend that owned a bar in New Orleans, and I'm 22 years old, and he had a kitchen that was not being used. Waldo's Bar on the corner of Frett and Broadway, right by Tulane and Loyola University. Anybody who's from that area knows the market, knows where that bar is. And he had a kitchen wasn't being used. And Mardi Gras was coming. I said, let me open a kitchen here. And we went back and forth, and finally he just said, yeah, whatever, go ahead. So I did. I opened a little pizza shop in the back of this bar.
So like you knew how to make pizzas?
Yeah, well, I guess not really. Again,
Like,
I didn't
how
know
do you
what I was
learn how to
getting
make
into.
pizza?
I wasn't really sure.
Where you like YouTube wasn't as heavy as it was back then.
No,
like,
it
how did you
wasn't.
learn how to make a pizza?
It wasn't. There wasn't YouTube. I had a couple of friends, and I had a guy that was in the food industry, kind of helped me make some dough, and so we had some fun. Like, it was all about just doing what we did, right? And we would deliver on bicycle to the dorms because they were right there. You couldn't drive there. We could get a bicycle faster than you could drive there.
That's genius.
So this was in 1994, and we had a pizza shop in Waldo's Bar, and we were only open at night because that's when the bar was open, and the college kids were out and about.
Yeah.
And so I was cutting grass during the day, running my regular life and routine, and we were making. I had this little 30-quart mixer, and this is as funny as this is how my whole life is kind of comes back to reality. But I had this little mixer, and it was 30-quart dough mixer, and we were making dough 2 and 3 times a day because we had to keep making dough to make pizza, right?
So you
I needed a bigger mixer.
You like guilt tripped your friends into making dough while you were cutting grass?
Almost. I needed a bigger mixer, so I had to get a newspaper and look in the classifieds, which people don't know what that is, but we didn't have internet, right? It was so I look in the class, and I see this 60-quart mixer for sale. Call the guy up, and it's in Baton Rouge. So I drive to Baton Rouge to look at this mixer. It was in my price range. It was used. It's all I could afford. It's what I needed. And I walk in, and it was in Tigerland at the time. Senor Frogs had just closed. It was in Senor Frogs. And I said, what are y'all doing with this place? Oh, we're going to lease the place out. It's available for rent. I went, oh, okay. I went back home. I said, man, that was pretty interesting.
So did you buy the mixer?
Not that day.
Okay. Just looked at the mixer, and it turns out you were.
I don't think I had the money to buy the mixer. I was pretty close, maybe. So I thought maybe I could get a discount
you
on it.
need some more
So
time.
I drove up there, and I saw the space, and I went back home to my shop, and I'm like doing what I'm doing. And I didn't have any alcohol sales. I didn't have any soda sales. All I had was the food. I didn't get any of the ancillary business that goes with it. And the liquor law was changing. And I said, well, if the liquor law goes to 21, college bars are going to get squeezed. So I might get squeezed out. So I went back to Baton Rouge, and I leased the building that the mixer was in 1996. And that's how Rotolo started in Tigerland in 1996. It's where it's as true as it come.
So,
And that mixer I still use today. I still have that same mixer.
so you went to purchase a mixer,
Uh-huh.
ended up saying, you know what, forget it.
I'll lease the building.
Let's just lease the building.
I did, and I leased the building, and that mixer was in that building. It stayed in the building, and that was in December, January of 95, early 96. We opened in June of 96 that year.
That was a fast turnaround.
Well, we didn't do much to the place because
I said you just hang up posters with the
pretty
logo.
much, yeah. We painted it,
cover
we
theirs.
hand painted it, we hand did whatever. We begged, borrowed, and stole, and just kind of put it together as best we could, and opened up. It already had a kitchen, it already had a bar, so it wasn't a whole lot to do. Some licensing, some permits, inspections, kind of left it as is, and just made it work. And then over the next few years, as we had revenue, we fixed it up a little nicer, and we had a good craft beer selection. We talked earlier about we had early adoption to craft beer, which is kind of cool to our brand. And probably 98, 99, we expanded our beer menu. I think we had 36 craft beers in the early 90s, which was unheard of. And so that kind of early adoption, I think, helped our brand kind of blossom. All these other bars were either pool halls or dance bars. We had a lot of the casual food and sitters. You come into a pizza parlor, you drink beer and have fun, mingle with your friends. We didn't have a lot of music. We didn't have dance floors, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was just
we did have a
pizza
patio.
place.
We
Yeah.
had fraternity parties. We did things to use the space we had, but for the most part, it was a pizza parlor that sold beer and pizza.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, were your friends kind of like upset that you were moving from New Orleans to Baton Rouge? Like, were the
They all thought I was
clientele you were
crazy.
riding
Oh,
bikes
it's crazy.
to?
It-
Like,
it-
were they
no-
saying, how are
nobody
you going to
wanted to
ride
talk
your
to me.
bike from Baton Rouge to New Orleans now?
Nobody wanted to talk to me. It was like they all thought I was crazy. It was like, what are you doing? We can't just move to Baton Rouge and open a restaurant. I'm like,
Why not?
why not? It's just I didn't know that you couldn't do that until they said you can't do it. And by then it was too late. I was already committed.
See, I think at that point in time, like if you were to ask a room full of people, you could weed out the true entrepreneurs versus the ones that are doing it because it's cool. Where if you say you live in New Orleans, you went to look at a machine to bring back to New Orleans, and all of a sudden you uprooted your entire business and moved cities because there was a space that worked. I mean, how many people would actually do that?
I don't know. It was kind of crazy.
Like
I wouldn't do it
like,
today.
Exactly.
I couldn't do it
would
today,
would you redo it if you were
no,
doing
you
everything
can't
all
do
over
that.
again? And I told you go start in Shreveport or something.
And it really even makes that even more crazy is that was my first trip to Baton Rouge ever.
Wait,
Go look at that mixer. I'd never been to Baton Rouge. I didn't go to LSU.
So you never.
I grew up
like
at the high school in New Orleans. I was a West Banker.
Like you never even just went to LSU for like a
never went to
football
LSU,
game,
never been to a
tailgate,
football
nothing.
game. Never been to a football game, and I looked at these 4 bars around here, and the space that was mine, which was the 5th place, nobody served food, and it was just college kids everywhere riding the bus, kids everywhere. I said, this looks just like Tulane, just like Loyola. Like this would work, so I can have the full bar. I already knew what I could do on the food side, so I was confident. I had no issues.
And you're 23, 24 at the time?
I was 24.
24. Wow.
I don't know.
It just like, it blows because I'm thinking back, if I was to go to a foreign city and have no idea where anything was, I don't know if I could even feel remotely comfortable.
Oh, I got lost
getting I
got lost. Don't worry.
But I mean, that just is absolutely crazy. And then it was successful. Like, was there ever a point where you thought it was not going to work?
No. Why would you think that?
Like, I don't know, sales ever slow? Like, was that model ever disproven?
We opened in midsummer.
Okay. Which is probably
which is probably the best time to open because we were able to get some people in, hire the right people, and we hired a great team. I can tell you, right from the beginning, I had great people that worked for me. Football season started, had no idea what I was in for, and I mean, again, selling beer and pizza in LSU in the 90s was not difficult. So, no, I didn't think it wouldn't work.
It was always, it's going to be successful.
I wouldn't say that. It was never a thought how successful or what I need to do. I never measured it that way. I just said, I need to do this. This is what I want to do, and just make it happen, right?
And so whenever you went and looked at that building first and you knew you wanted to move to Baton Rouge, did you ever think that it would be a franchise model, or were you just looking solely at single location?
I wasn't there yet. This point, it was, let's see how this works for me, right? If this is something, I figured I'd do this for a couple of years, so I figured out what I wanted to do in my life, where I was going to go, how I was going to grow up and make a living. At that age, I was still 24. I was still kind of like, okay. I had a bunch of people that moved to LSU, that went to LSU, but I had never been. So, so it wasn't hard at that age. It was no risk, right? What am I going to risk?
Yeah, that's what I keep telling people in their low 20s. You don't have much at all to risk.
There's nothing I could have lost.
Like there's, it's just you. You don't have, you don't have a family. You don't have kids to worry about. You don't have a house payment. You don't have a mortgage. It's just you and yourself.
Well, one of my motivating factors is I did have a kid early, which is why I didn't go to college, because I was always on the hustle working. So I already had one, and was like, okay, I got to make this work. So that was part of the motivating factor. But I just have always been doing what I wanted to do.
I love that.
If you do what you want to do, you learn how to make a living at it. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. And only answering to like yourself.
No, you got to answer to a lot of people. It's not quite that easy, but it's true. You have to answer to everybody. I want everybody to know. That's how you build that team. I do like to have that team around that knows what they're doing. My work hours today I probably work similar number of hours in some sense or another, but not physically in the stores. I'm not working in the store anymore, but it does. It's how do you build that team and that culture that makes any business work.
Right. And how do you know, when you can trust people to go and open a new store and take it over for you? What is that now that you're at the point where you're franchising these restaurants? Is there a process or a mindset you go in when you talk to somebody that says, I want to franchise your store?
Sure. I mean, it's our brand. It's our name, right? It's probably the most important asset I have is the brand and the name, right? So we go into a new market and a new franchisee who doesn't treat it like we treat it. It changes everybody else's perception of the brand too. So it's not just me; it's all the existing franchisees you have to protect. So there's a lot at stake there, and it's a lot of trust, but verified type stuff. Nobody can just have a franchise. You don't just give them away. It's got to be somebody that you really want to be involved with. It's a lot like a marriage. I mean, a franchisee is somebody I'm going to deal with every day for the next 20 years, right? So
Right.
we got to get along. We got to have our, we got to align in visions. I don't have to like you per se, but I can't not like you, right? So our livelihoods are attached. I'm going to know your wife, your kids, your family. I'm going to watch them grow up. And we've got franchisees now that are been with me for 15 years, and I know pretty much everything about them. So it is a trust, but you have to have light-minded in the sense of they have to have my interest, and if they have my interest, then I'll have their interest, and that's how I think all business deals have to come together one way or another.
Right.
But a franchise model is different than a partnership.
Right. And so do y'all have like a franchise class? I know a lot of franchise ors will have classes and settings that have to put them through. Like you got to go work in a restaurant for
Oh, definitely.
so long a time. You have to go to a certain amount of training courses, et cetera, et cetera. What's I guess for someone who's interested in becoming a franchisee of Rotolo's, what does that process look like for them?
Well, it's probably takes people don't realize it probably takes a year or more to go from I want to open a franchise to almost opening your store. The process is one. You have to understand what you're getting into. It's not just a financial commitment because a lot of people have money. A lot of people have access to cash, but they don't want to do what it takes, right? I'd rather take the manager who's working at a concept like a Chili's, a Buffalo Wild Wings, who's really good at his job, and help that person become a franchisee because they're going to work for it. They're gonna do it like I did it, right? They're gonna want to do it the hard way. Versus having somebody who's got a bunch of money, they'll just invest in it. If they don't like it, they'll just move on. And I can't. We don't want to do that as a brand. So there's definitely it's about 8-week training in our stores with our team. Site selection is probably the most important piece of that. How do you get to your right site? And there's a lot of data, and a lot of research, and a lot of gut feeling goes into that kind of stuff. And then obviously you have to have the financing to go through it, and then we start opening your restaurant. You got to build it out, and construction today is not like it was in '96. You don't just go out and open up.
No.
I wouldn't allow somebody to do what I did.
I think there's a lot. There's a couple of restaurants that come to mind, concepts that started in '96, and I'm sure
Oh yeah,
did a lot of stuff on their own.
Baton Rouge has got a good
I was supposed to say
restaurant
96 must have been the year for restaurant and entrepreneurs to open their locations, especially around campus. Like Cane's was open right there in
Cane's.
'96. Y'all open in '96.
Walk-ons, I think, was '97.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got quite a few. Now all Kane sells is chicken. I mean, nobody wants to own that, right? I mean,
What a dumb concept, right?
it's just they don't have any dishes. They don't wash anything. There's no bus boys. There's no table service. I mean, really, who wants to do that? It's all to go packaging.
Well, 600 locations later, it's kind of hard to.
How many? 600.
600.
Yeah.
Kind of hard.
heard
Kind of
like
hard to say it doesn't work.
A couple of billion in sales. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but what was the decision like kind of going into, hey, we want to franchise this? Going from I want to own, each store to let's see, was it just like let's expand our reach further, or did somebody approach you say, hey, Mitch, I love the concept. How can I get involved?
A little bit of both. Really, what happened for me was when Katrina hit, and devastated New Orleans as bad as it did. I was here, and all my family was still in New Orleans, and so going back, trying to just do whatever you can with that. A few weeks after Katrina, the city was just such, and I'm saying the city, meaning the whole metro, from not just New Orleans, but the West Bank, Chalmette, New Orleans East, all that area was just hit so hard that it just was a clean slate. It's like you could pick and choose and take any property you wanted, buy it, build it, grow it, if the customers were there. So I got pretty lucky when Katrina hit. Back to my trading bicycle days, I was at a restaurant on Jefferson Highway. This is just, again, back how my life works. And people say, "Oh, you're so lucky." This and that. No, it's nothing to do with it. It's just if you keep doing the right things over and over again, things just happen, right? That's just the way I see it.
When it's also looking for the opportunities, right?
It is.
You have to look and see.
It is opportunity everywhere. I don't
Right.
care who you are. This opportunity. So after Katrina, we had all this food in a restaurant, Jefferson Highway, in Jefferson, Louisiana, right up by the Huey P. Long Bridge, and the Jefferson Parish Police Station was decimated by Katrina. So they had taken over the Saints training camp and were headquartering out of the Saints training camp, which is right down the street from where the restaurant was. So we're cleaning the restaurant. We had water and we had gas. We had no power. So we cooked all this food with the gas that we had at the restaurant and gave it to the cops at the police station because they had nothing either. There was no restaurant. There was nothing anywhere. So we just cooked all the pasta and just cooked all of the chicken and just, it was 3 or 4 days after Katrina. The freezers were still frozen, but we had to get rid of all this food because we were going to be closed for quite a while. So we're in there cleaning the restaurant. We just gave whatever we had, we just gave it away. And as I'm delivering all this food to them, this guy comes and says, hey, can you bring me more food tomorrow? And I said, no, this is all we had. We emptied the freezers out, whatever.
One day only.
They wanted more food. So I said, well, I can get it from Baton Rouge. So sure enough, he said, well, bring it to me tomorrow. And that was some high guy out of Texas National Guard had just got on site for Katrina and said, I need to feed these guys. Bring me food. So I brought them food the next day. And then that turned into, I did a little bit over $1 million in revenue in about 40 days after Katrina.
Just from feeding the National Guard?
Just from the National Guard, City Parish, a couple other outlets. Once we started that, it just kind of grew in. But you couldn't do that without putting yourself out there and out being in that hustle and never saying no and just trying to do it. I was doing it for a couple of reasons. One is that I had restaurants that were down and we had people that needed to work. I needed to keep hustling and keep growing my company, and they needed the help. So it was like it just didn't get any easier to say yes.
And it's a lot harder to sleep at night knowing you dumped an entire restaurant worth of food in a dumpster than taking that food and giving it away.
Well, and you talk about canes, and I guarantee you Todd doesn't know this, but when Katrina hit, I was ordering canes by the sheet pan load from like 5 different locations and delivering it as part of our catering because we couldn't cook all the food we needed, right? So we had Baton Rouge restaurants helping us make food.
They just didn't know it?
Well, they did know it. They knew what it was for. I mean, we ordered what we needed to order from any restaurant that would help us get the food we needed. We were serving hot meals 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner post-Katrina. So I had a team of logistics at this point. It wasn't just Rotolo's. It was my contract. I was running it, but we were using everybody we could to get enough food. So whatever they could give us, that we just added to the list that day because people were just taking whatever we could get them. So that was part of the process. And that gave me enough, cash flow at that point to buy my first piece of real estate, which is really was the launching pad of Rotolo's. At this point, we were still kind of a little neighborhood, small brand. We had 2 or 3 stores. We had one on Jefferson Highway in New Orleans, the one in Tigerland, and the one on Coursey Boulevard. So that was the launching pad to say, okay, we had a little bit of room. I bought 2 pieces of commercial property, built a building in Prairieville, which is where Rotolo's is, and bought another piece of property in Baton Rouge, which is where Rotolo's had moved to. And so those 2 commercial properties really helped me get the brand to the next level.
Right. And so
and
then
get serious about it. And that's when I got serious. So post-Katrina, I had an opportunity. I had a little bit of cash. Said, okay, now what do we do with this? So I put it all right back in the company.
Yeah,
Bought real estate, opened stores, and that's when I realized, okay, maybe I got something. Maybe I can grow this. Maybe we can franchise this.
and I think that's also a part that people who look at entrepreneurs and say, oh, if they're successful, they've got all this money, they don't see that.
No,
They don't see they don't see the point in time where you're sitting there, oh, we did $1 million in 40 days, excellent. And your instant thought is not, I can't wait to buy that yacht. It is, I need to go and put this back into the company. Right. It's I need to go and put this all back into the company and grow this and basically juice it up. Give the company some steroids and push us to the next level. That's the mentality.
How an entrepreneur thinks if you don't know how they think. That is exactly what you would do with it. And again, my wife's heard me tell this story, and it's as true as it gets. A guy was one day, and this is a year ago, and we're company's doing great. Things are good. The world's different now, right? And he's in the kitchen with me one day. He's probably 23, 24 years old. You can tell he's kind of struggling on his own, paying his own rent, getting his way through. And somehow he needs to make more money, and I need to make more money, and I need this or this. He goes, you don't have to worry about boss. You don't even have to worry about your light bill. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? You're right. I don't worry about my light bill. I don't even know what it was last month. You know what I worry about? 500 people's light bills, 500 people's rent, 500 people's card notes. And he looked at me and he said, I didn't think about it like that. And so that's what I mean by building that culture and that team. Let them know what you're doing and what you're thinking, and they'll die on a spigot for you. I mean, people will do. They love. I think people work for us love working for us. My office, we did a picture a while back, and I don't know what the tenure was, but didn't realize. But out of the people in my office, I think the youngest person was 2 years, but I had 7 or 8 people in that photo over 10 years with our company, and we sell pizza for a living. So I'm proud of that. I think it's kind of cool that we have that. People like the company.
That loyalty to the company.
Yeah.
That loyalty, but that comes down to selecting your leaders and being a good leader, right? You know, being a leader that people want to follow and stick around. Because you could have easily said, yeah, man, you're right. I don't have to worry about my light bill. You know, I built this company. It's great. But you said, no, I need to have this moment as a teaching moment for this individual and say, look, I don't worry about it, but I'm worrying about all of y'all's, making sure y'all can pay y'all's light bills.
Well, that's what it comes down to, right? It's
right.
If I make bad decisions, a lot of other people get affected. So
it's not just you anymore.
And you make bad decisions. I mean, I've closed restaurants. We've had locations didn't work out. I mean, it happens. In 25 years of business, it's going to happen.
You're going to run into a bad deal, a bad decision.
Yeah, but so anyway, it's a back and forth. So Katrina really launched our brand and kind of made me realize, okay, I can't only do so much, and franchising was an option. So we explored it, and here we are.
And so then how did the Rotolo's Craft and Crust concept come about?
Evolution of the brand, I guess. You know, if you're not growing, you're dying. I do believe that. I think you got to constantly be doing things. I've never been able to stop, slow down, and say, you know, when we started after Katrina, whatever we had, we reproduced it, and we kept growing it. You know, we opened a lot of restaurants at that point from 2008 or 9 post-Katrina to 2015 or 16. We probably opened 22, 23, 24 restaurants. And I had a small staff, you know, support overhead staff. And on top of that, we got involved with the Saints, which was helped us launch our brand post Katrina. We became the official Pizza New Orleans Saints and did a big Saints contract, which helped us again in some other ways, but hurt us in a lot of ways because it was difficult on our staff, our people, and it was expensive. So
yeah, man, you gotta have
in
so
marketing,
much there.
what you got in branding, we paid for in cash flow and taxing our people, and it was difficult. But the Craft and Crust was something. So when we really got to a point, I said, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do next. And my oldest son was working for us full time. He had been in the business, and like, look, we can't just keep doing what we're doing. We got to make the right changes. So we designed the restaurant that we wanted on paper, and we wanted it to be a little different, but we didn't want to have a different brand. We just wanted it to be better than what we were doing. And better's not even the right way to say it, because what we do in the pizzerias is fantastic. I love what we're doing. Craft and Crust has the exact same menu that's in the pizzeria, but it just has a few more options.
Like with a different vibe.
Totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Totally different look. We're back to, so in the 2000s, the bar kind of shrunk in Rotolo's. We went a little bit more suburban. This is a little bit more open. 40 draft beers, 35 draft beers. Full service bar, 25 wine selection, full craft pizza menu. When I say craft pizza menu, it is truly an artisan craft. It's not a reproducible product. Every pizza's handmade, made to order as it should be. We have fryers in the Craft and Crust, which we don't have fryers in our restaurants. So we don't do the freezer to fryer stuff. We don't do that. But in the Craft and Crust, we did put fryers in. So we're doing a Brussels sprout. We got a fried cauliflower. We do a lot of side dishes that go with it. So it's the exact same menu that's in the pizzeria with a few more items. And the atmosphere is a little bit more in tune with today's look.
Right. Yeah.
We hadn't had a facelift in 20 years, right? We've been opening restaurants
yeah.
and we had the same colors. We had the same furniture. We just kept ordering the same stuff because we kept opening restaurants. We couldn't stop and do what we really wanted. And I didn't want to go back and just change the furniture or just paint the walls. So we said, let's stop. Let's build this restaurant over here as we would want to do it. What's our dream model?
Yeah, if we could redo it, what would it look like?
Not redo it, but just make it for the next 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
So everything we're doing now is Craft and Crust.
Okay, so there's no more like Rotolo's pizzerias or...
Well, we have plenty of pizzerias, but everything we're opening is Craft and Crust.
That's what I was about to say. There's no more pizzerias being open.
And part of the pizzeria is, you know, you go to a new market, you go to Lake Charles or Shreveport or someplace we hadn't been before, and they say, well, what is Rotolo's Pizza? Y'all deliver? No. I mean, they think Rotolo's Pizzeria is like a...
like a delivery place.
Whereas Craft and Crust really sold what we did.
Yeah.
It's a craft kitchen, it's a craft bar, and it's all about the food, right? So places we do business, we want to own the pizza market. The burger places can own the burger places. The seafood houses, the best crawfish in town, or the best this, or the best that. But where we do business, we want to own the pizza market. We
Yeah.
want to be known for the pizza in that place.
And you've been successful at it over the last
It's going
25
well.
years.
Yeah.
You know, things have gone well. Like you were saying, you know, you've gotten to the point where you're able to invest in other things. And one of those things that you've invested with is the sponsor of this episode is Currency Bank.
Yep.
A local bank here in Baton Rouge, open off of Jefferson. Was this something like you were looking at? Are you at the point now where you're looking for those next investment deals?
You know, I am. I'm looking at investment opportunities just like anybody else in business, I guess. Rotolo's is my core business. But probably the next best business model out of Rotolo's was own a food manufacturing plant that people don't even know about.
Start going up the chain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so I own a lot of the real estate we're involved in. So the growth is, to me, we're vertically integrated in Rotolo's is my primary business. Everything revolves around that. So if I don't have Rotolo's, I can't have a food manufacturing business that makes 50 products for other companies that people would even know the brands for. I wouldn't own the real estate and have the space that we have for what we're doing. But yeah, investments outside of Rotolo's are, everybody looks for what's the right opportunity for them and their families. You know, my wife and I talk about it. We said, what are we going to do? You know, we're looking for other opportunities to do stuff. Rotolo's has been great to me. It still is my primary business. There's no slowing down on that. But if I have a few extra things to invest in, I mean, Currency Bank was kind of a no-brainer for me. I know most of the team over there. I've been knowing them. They're all Baton Rouge people. Scott and I have been having a banking relationship and a personal relationship for a long time. And so he told me he was doing this, and I thought it was great and excited for him. So, and I thought it was a great investment. So,
Yeah. And it goes back to the conversation we were having before the episode about making Baton Rouge a better place, showing the opportunity that Baton Rouge has in. I mean, Scott came in and got a group of people together and opened up a bank.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Who opens a bank?
Like,
right?
who opens, like, and you think about it, like, banking is one of, like, the oldest industries, right?
He's like, you want to be in a bank? I'm like, sure, why not, right?
Yeah, like, it's, you think about it, you know, nothing can change, you know, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, cash comes in, cash goes out, you loan it, you charge interest, and that's how you make your money, right? But he was able within Baton Rouge, what some people would say is that, you know, a concentrated market, there's so many people in here, there's so many different banks, and come in and still find opportunity here. And to start a whole new business with a group of people that were local to Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas and wanted to see something like this come into the city. You know, and we were talking before, like, is this kind of phase one of showing people that there's opportunity here?
Baton Rouge is a very unique town in the sense of it doesn't have the New Orleans culture. It doesn't have the Lafayette culture. It has its own space. And look, when I moved to Baton Rouge, I was like, this is a cool little town, right? I really enjoyed it. I didn't realize how big it was until I really got into it. But we got a lot of big industry, a lot of big companies, a lot of engineering jobs, a major college, state capital. I mean, there's a lot of things Baton Rouge could be and should be, in my opinion, taken advantage of that we don't do enough for.
Right.
There's plenty of business here. There's plenty of opportunity here.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, like within the show, the main mission is to start showing off some of those people doing the great things and almost being a cheerleader for them. Like, hey,
Sure.
Look how great these people have found success. There's still opportunity. There's still room for anybody to come in and start
There's
a
plenty of
business.
opportunities.
There's so much room. It's not full, right? The market's not full. There's always an opening for either an innovation or a twist on an idea to come in and for people to do things. Like, there's no reason for anyone to say, oh, I can't find opportunity here.
Yeah.
I just think they're not looking hard enough.
That's true. Or create it or make an opportunity.
Right. You know, you came in from New Orleans and saw opportunity. Like,
That was a whole different world. That was like 100 years ago, I think. I don't know.
so was there ever a decision within Rotolo's or Rotolo's Crafts and Crust that you did that you kind of wish you hadn't?
I'm sure there is.
Like, is there anything you would change over the last 25 years of doing business?
No. Because even the things that you do wrong, that you screw up, that you really made a mistake on, it leads you down the path that you're in. So, you know, if I didn't do this, why wouldn't I? You know, I wouldn't have done that, right? We talked about the Saints briefly, which is a huge part of what Rotolo's became. Is, you know,
How did you get that?
I don't know.
Like, when you say, "Oh, yeah, we're the pizza of the Saints," Like, were you just walking down the street and somebody said, "Hey,
No, no,
I
it
like your
got,
pizza, man. Come be the Saints guy."
it is a whole nother series. But so after Katrina, when I really wanted to franchise this, obviously I was already working out of my pocket, doing everything I could. I didn't have real good banking relationships. I didn't have any extra cash flow. So I took on a partner to help me bring the brand to the next level. And fortunately, it was the right partner for me at the time, and it made a lot of sense. And they had a relationship with the Saints. It was able to introduce me to the right people, and um, to a company with, at the time, I think we had 6 or 7 restaurants. That made no sense whatsoever. But knowing that we wanted to grow the brand, it was like, wow, this is a launching pad. So
Like, you would think you would need like
I
a
mean,
dedicated kitchen just for.
we had 3 kitchens in the Superdome. It was crazy.
Okay.
It was outrageous. It was a logistical. I think Katrina Logistics helped me prepare for the Superdome.
Just
We had
the pure chaos
Oh,
that
it
was
was terrible.
Katrina.
The game kickoffs at noon. We're cooking pizzas at 9:30 in the morning for 10 o'clock sales door open. If they're not cooked and sold by first quarter, then that's it. Halftime, it's over with. So, but it's a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. day, and you're doing $50,000 in sales in 3 hours, and you leave the building, and they keep all the money, they keep everything, and it's like you just get to leave. That's all you get. You get to walk out the door, and you got to write them a check for marketing.
Wait, so you didn't make any money off the Saints deal?
Oh no, no. But we were everywhere. It launched our brand. We took a marketing package that just made sense for the brand. We had access to players for special events. We were doing school literacy program outreach. We had Saints logos and likeness to use. I honestly do believe it helped us grow our brand. Separated me from our competitor. The same company that had 5 or 6 locations, whether it's a taco, pizza, or chicken shop. It made our brand a little bit more street credibility, I would say, and it allowed us to bring in the next level of stores, and that really launched us. That part, it really did help. But we were managing that with our own team. So
Yeah,
you're
I was
working
about to say
Friday
it
and
was
Saturday
all-
night in
it
the
was all- it
restaurant.
was all in-house
You got to be in
and
the
Sunday,
Superdome
the
Sunday
Super-
morning and work a Saints game. Oh, and then Monday's a whole new week. You got to go back to work.
There's no time
So,
off.
There is no time off, and so to this day, I think I've been to 2 Saints games since we left the Saints, and we just
pizza's
left
not
them to
the-
attrition. It was
the
5
pizza's
years.
not
It
the
run its
same.
course, and so my wife likes to go to Saints games. I'm like, I really don't want to go. I'm just over the Superdome. It's like I love going to the games. I love the spirit of the game, and I love the atmosphere around it. But I'm just over the Superdome. It hadn't come back to me yet.
So those 5 years, I mean, that was. Did you like devote all your marketing dollars was to the what you had to pay the Saints?
Oh,
and the staff and
It was
everything?
way over any kind of
I mean,
budget.
because you're like you got to pay your team, you
Mhm.
got to pay their salaries, you got to pay for all the supplies and
Yeah,
everything.
we
or
had
are
to buy
they
the
covering-
groceries.
Yeah.
We had to pay the labor. We had to pay for the groceries, pay the labor. We used our food, and we got a percentage of sales. I think we got 35% of sales.
Okay, so you got something back.
But it wasn't enough to cover our labor and our team.
Right.
So we lost money on the operation on that day, and we had to pay for our marketing plan. But it put the product. I remember when I was walking around the dome, probably the second game or third game, and you're walking through the seats, and it's just rows of seats, and it's trash everywhere, beer cans. You used to seeing the same stuff, the Budweiser bottle, this and this, and all of a sudden you started seeing Rotolo's pizza boxes in the stands, the trash, and I was like, this is so cool, right? It
Is that like a we made it
yes,
moment for
it
you?
was. It was like this cool deal, and my favorite souvenir from the Superdome was, and I got a picture in my office. It's Brett Favre holding 4 Rotolo's pizzas, and he's got his jersey over his shoulder, and his wife's on one side, his agent's on the other. He's walking off the floor of the dome, and he threw 4 interceptions in that game. And the caption was, he got a free pizza for every interception. And he's got 4 Rotolo's pizza. I was like, that is cool. So I got the picture framed in my office from the front page of paper.
So that was the paper.
Mhm.
Oh, that is.
And so it was just a really cool picture, and it just that was an aha moment, right? So there's some fun things like that. I got to do some stuff with the team, and then had good access to them, but it wasn't. It was worth the investment and the money to launch into what it is. It wasn't something you can maintain for a 20-year relationship. We don't have that kind of budget to do that.
Yeah, it just puts some serious stress and
Yeah,
strain
yeah.
on not only the budget but the crew.
Yeah. And as soon as we got that, we took that, we ran with it, right? We got away from them and started opening stores, and here we are today.
Yeah,
Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know.
It's wildly successful still. you know?
I hope so.
So as we kind of start to get towards the end of the show, we have a set list of questions. We call them for your show, and thanks to Scott,
geez. All
we
right.
call them the currency questions.
The currency questions.
Currency questions worth the big bucks, right?
Appreciate it, Scott.
So what is something, and I feel like I know the answer to this already just from sitting down with you for the last 45, 50 minutes. What is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Trade bicycles.
Like tangibly
You
trade
know, whatever.
bicycles?
I don't know. I mean,
Or like garage? Like would you do like go back and do garage sales?
no, I didn't do the garage sales. But I definitely cut my grandparents' grass, their neighbor's grass, guy across the street, that kind of stuff. You know, to make skate country money or to go get bicycle parts. Or I remember when the bicycle shop Swin opened by my house, I was like, this place is like 100 bicycles, all in one place. You'd never heard of, right? So that was kind of cool. But what I would want to do as a kid, I mean, all of it. I mean, just be young and
Like stay in the serial entrepreneurial realm. Like do a different thing to make money every single day.
no, but just being young, it was fun. I mean, I've always, like I said, if I could do what I want and learn how to make a living at it, then I'm as happy as can be. I don't need 100 stores or 500 stores to say this is my aha or I made it. To me, it was when it was fun. And I was like, this was cool. That was my aha.
Yeah. It's the process over profit.
Yeah.
I love that. So what are 3 lessons you kind of learned over these past 2.5 decades?
I mean, everything's a lesson. I don't think there's any one thing that stands out. Obviously, I try to be as up to date on what the culture's doing. I think that's important to know, which is evolution of craft and crust, pivoting because brands are dying or they're growing, they're never standing still. And I get that from doing my own research, my own tutorials, my own self education, investing in people, right? So I'm sitting with you today. I got restaurants open in 4 states right now. Why? How is that happening? Right? It's the people that make the brand, that make the culture. And lastly, I mean, my team hears me say this all the time. It's like it doesn't matter how bad somebody does something to us, or just do the right thing. Things will come together. It'll work out. And so I just have that philosophy. You just do what you're supposed to do, and you'll always get your share.
Yeah, it'll come back around.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love that. So you moved here to Baton Rouge from New Orleans without knowing anybody, without even being here, really. So within that,
Is
sure
that unusual?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think so. That's
Well,
the problem.
Well, I mean, and thinking back and thinking back to the 90s at the time, like you couldn't pull out an iPhone and put in Tigerland and have it take you there. Like you had to
No.
navigate the streets, ask for directions. You had to interact with the city
Yeah, you had
to get
interact with
around.
people. Yeah.
And so the times have changed from that. And so within being here for that many years, what do you love about Baton Rouge?
Like I said earlier, it's got so much potential. I love New Orleans because I grew up there and I get the culture. Lafayette's a totally different culture. I married a Lafayette girl, grew up in Opelousas, so I mean, I love having that influence in our lives. But Baton Rouge is in the middle. It's a transit community. It's got a lot of so the fact that it doesn't have as much as New Orleans and Lafayette, we don't take advantage of that. We look at it as, oh, we don't have that, right? It's just the opposite. We should be doing so much more with it because all those people live here. We have so much commerce here between state capital, LSU, and all the major industry that's here. I think Baton Rouge is just, to me, it was a good place to live. It was safe, secure. You didn't in New Orleans. You have certain things you need to worry about when you're raising kids, raising a family, and living your life. And those worries you don't have as much here in Baton Rouge. It was just seemed like a safer, easier going community. So we are that. You get both by living in Baton Rouge, and again, they got tremendous industry here.
Right.
That I don't think we tell enough people. You get companies like Performance and Cajun and all these big contractors that are global contractors.
Some massive companies here.
I mean, Bernhardt's done it 3 or 4 times, sold billion-dollar companies. So they all live right here in Baton Rouge. I mean, we have a hub of big industry in Baton Rouge that people don't appreciate.
Yeah, and it needs to be appreciated.
Yeah.
So for the final question, what can I do to help you?
Well, I appreciate this. This is fun.
I appreciate you coming.
I had no idea what I was walking into. I think I told you that. So I don't know what was going to happen here today.
Did
This was fun. Like,
Did
I
it live up to
appreciate
your
it. So-
expectations?
No, look, I love what I do. Like I said, my story is, I think it's just normal. Some people think it's unique. I don't know, but I'm personally fine. There's not a whole lot that I could ask for from anybody right now. But just pay it forward. Help other people who are just doing what they're doing. I love what I do, and if people keep eating food and we keep doing what we're doing. We'll be fine. So I appreciate you letting me come in and spend some time with you.
I appreciate you coming in and sitting down with us. It's been a lot of fun. I'm happy to get back in the saddle, and I think we had a great first episode.
It's been a tough 18 months, but we're getting back to where we trying to get some normalcy. But COVID's been difficult. But
yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's how do we work through it, right? Not wait for the end. How do we adapt?
If we didn't go out of business yet, we're good. I was really freaked out in the beginning of COVID, to be honest, when everything shut down. But
all the restaurants were shut down.
It was really difficult time for people. People like me who were trying to figure out what do we do as a brand with all these people. Like, what do you do? It's like, so that was tough. But now I think we're hopefully on the backside of that. Hopefully there's no more variants that come and disrupt our lives. But we'll see.
Yeah, just take it one step, one day at a time, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Mitch, for coming on. I appreciate your time, and I thank everybody else, whether you're listening to this or you're watching this. I appreciate you. I know the guests do. And Baton Rouge as a whole does as well. You're able to see some amazing companies come through the studio this year. We've got a great lineup, and I'm excited for them to tell their stories and just get out there of how great and how much opportunity is here within our city. Big shout out to Falaya Focus Studio. Y'all, this is a legitimate studio. If you need a podcast and you want to do one, reach out to me, and I'll put you in touch with Barrett over here, and I'll see what they can work out. Also, big thanks to our two lovely sponsors of the show, Government Taco. They are right there on the corner of Jefferson and Government. They've got Thirsty Thursdays where you can get, I think, half-price margaritas all day or something like that. Don't quote me on it. Just go there and say that you heard about it, and you're going to drink their margaritas. And also, Currency Bank. They are a local bank here in Baton Rouge, like we were talking on the episode. Just opened up, I believe in 21 they opened their doors and are just crushing it. If you are a business person and you need a business bank, they are the bank for you, and tell them that Patty G sent you. And with that, guys, we are wrapped up with Season 4, Episode 1 of the Patty G Show. We're going to be coming your way every Tuesday this year. We're excited for it, and I hope y'all stick around. Hit that subscribe button, whatever your platform you're on. Also, share the show, and go eat some food at Rotolo's Pizzeria and Rotolo's Craft and Crust. Tell them you heard about them on the Patty G Show, and they'll be sure to take good care of you. And with that, we're out.